If she disrespects you, don't argue. Don't beg. Don't explain. Do this instead. Stand tall, remain silent, and let your presence say what words never could. Because here's the truth. When a woman no longer respects you, her love has already started to fade. And when you tolerate that disrespect, you're not just losing her, you're losing yourself. Most men don't realize it, but every time you let it slide when she rolls her eyes at you, every time you laugh it off when she mocks you, every time you stay quiet when she talks down to you, you are training her mind. You are teaching her what you will tolerate. And once she knows you will tolerate disrespect, she can never respect you the same way again. Picture this. A man sits at the dinner table. He works hard. He provides. He tries his best. But across from him, his woman sighs, scrolls through her phone, and barely looks at him. He tries to make a joke. She rolls her eyes. He asks a question. She answers with one word. And instead of walking away, he stays. He laughs nervously. He keeps trying, because deep down he fears losing her. Now stop. Put yourself in that man's shoes. Have you ever been there? Have you ever felt that sting, that quiet, invisible wound that tells you, she doesn't respect me anymore? Here's the harsh reality. Most men don't lose women because they weren't good enough. They lose women because they tolerated disrespect long enough for it to rot the relationship from the inside. Respect is oxygen to love. Without it, no amount of affection, no amount of money, no amount of gifts can keep it alive. And the moment you compromise on your self-respect, you've already lost. She can still love you without money. She can still love you if you struggle. But she can never love you if she doesn't respect you. Why this video exists? This is not a video about hating women. This is not a call to bitterness or revenge. This is about something far more powerful. Rebuilding your masculine dignity through Stoicism. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, face betrayal, exile, humiliation, and loss. And yet, they didn't collapse. Why? Because they built a mind so disciplined, so detached, so rooted in principles, that no insult, no betrayal, no disrespect could destroy their center. That's what I'm giving you today. 6 ways to handle women who don't respect you. 6 strategies rooted in Stoicism, sharpened by psychology, and forged in masculine self-mastery. And if you listen carefully, if you don't just hear these words but apply them, you will never again find yourself begging for respect. You will never again tolerate disrespect. And you will never again be the man who stays silent when his soul is being stepped on. Because here's the truth. A man who demands respect without raising his voice, without chasing, without begging, is a man women fear to lose. Why men fail? Let me tell you why most men fail this test. When a woman disrespects them, they do one of 3 things. They explode. They shout. They argue. They demand respect like a child demands candy. But anger only shows weakness. It shows that her opinion controls you. They explain. They sit her down and give long speeches about how they deserve respect. But speeches don't command respect. Actions do. They endure. They stay quiet. They take it. They pretend it doesn't bother them. And secretly, piece by piece, their soul withers. And that's where most men die. Not physically, but spiritually. Because the moment you tolerate disrespect, you've traded your masculinity for her approval. And she will never respect a man who needs her approval more than his own self-respect. The Stoic foundation. Now, let's anchor this in philosophy. Epictetus, the slave-turned-Stoic teacher, once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Think about that. Mastery of self. Not mastery of her. Not mastery of the relationship. If she disrespects you, your first question is not, "How do I make her change?" Your first question is, "What does my response say about me?" Because in every moment of disrespect, you are teaching her how to treat you. Why respect matters more than love. Let me burn this truth into your mind. A woman can still stay with a man she doesn't love. She can still sleep next to him. She can still raise children with him. But she will never stay loyal to a man she doesn't respect. Respect is a foundation. Without it, everything collapses. And here's the secret most men refuse to face. When you set boundaries, when you walk away, when you stop tolerating disrespect, women may test you, they may challenge you, they may even get angry, but deep inside they admire it, because in her heart, she knows a man who can't demand respect from her can't protect her from the world. Cliffhanger transition into main lessons. So today, I'm not going to tell you to argue. I'm not going to tell you to negotiate. I'm going to give you the 6 Stoic ways. The 6 moves that transform you from a man who tolerates disrespect into a man who commands respect without raising his voice. But let me warn you, these 6 ways are not easy. They require courage. They require letting go of weakness. And they require building a mind that is unshakable, no matter who leaves you, no matter who mocks you, no matter who disrespects you. Because the truth is, if you don't learn how to handle disrespect, you won't just lose her, you'll lose yourself. And that's a price no man should ever pay. Next, we begin with way 1, detach without drama. And once you master this, you'll never chase respect again. Part 2, way 1, detach without drama. The hardest lesson men learn: when a woman disrespects you, the instinct is to react, to prove her wrong, to fight back, to make her respect you again. But here's the truth. The more you fight for respect, the more it slips through your fingers. Because respect isn't won in arguments. Respect is felt in silence. And the strongest response to disrespect is detachment. Detach and you win. React and you lose. What does detachment really mean? Now, let's make something clear. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring about your relationship. It doesn't mean you shut down emotionally and become a stone. Detachment means this: you don't give disrespect the power to shake you. You don't let her moods control your moods. You don't need to fight to prove your worth. Because when you're truly detached, you're communicating one powerful message: my value is not up for debate. Whether you see it or not, I remain the same man. That's the kind of frame women can't resist. Storytelling: the man who reacted versus the man who detached. Let me give you a story. 2 men, same situation. Man A comes home. His woman mocks his ambition. She says, "You'll never make it. You're wasting your time." He explodes, shouts, argues, tells her she doesn't understand. He spends hours proving himself with words, yet deep inside, she only sees one thing: weakness. He needed her validation. Man B comes home. His woman mocks his ambition. She says, "You'll never make it." He looks at her calmly, smiles slightly, says nothing. And the next morning, he wakes up, goes to the gym, works harder, and gets closer to his goals. He doesn't fight with her. He doesn't explain. He detaches. Which man do you think she respects more? The one who lost control, or the one who proved through silence that her words could not touch him? Disrespect only has power if you respond to it. The moment you detach, you take the power back. The Stoic principle behind detachment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Your woman's words, her moods, her tests, these are outside events. You can't control them. But your reaction, that's yours. That's your kingdom. When she disrespects you, you have a choice. Do I hand her my emotions on a silver platter? Or do I guard my mind, remain calm, and let my actions, not my words, speak? The Stoic always chooses detachment, not because he's weak, but because nothing is stronger than a man who cannot be provoked. Why drama destroys respect? Drama is the currency of weak men. Raise your voice, argue endlessly, beg for validation, and you've already lost. Why? Because you've entered her frame. Women test. It's in their nature. Sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously. And every test asks the same question: can I shake his center? If you react emotionally, you fail the test. If you detach calmly, you pass it. And here's the paradox. The less you react, the more she respects you. The more you react, the less she respects you. Challenge to men. Think about it. How many times have you been baited into pointless arguments? How many times have you explained yourself over and over, hoping she would finally get it? How many nights have you wasted fighting for respect that never came? And what did it cost you? Your peace, your dignity, your masculine frame. But what if instead of fighting you detached? What if you didn't give her the reaction she was fishing for? What if you chose silence over weakness? That's where real power begins. The psychology of detachment. Let me give you the psychological truth. Human nature values what it cannot control. When you react emotionally to disrespect, you're signaling, you control me. When you detach, you're signaling, you don't have access to my core. This creates something powerful inside her. Curiosity. She wonders, why isn't he reacting? Why doesn't he need my approval? Why is he so unshakable? And slowly respect returns. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it through discipline. Silence is not weakness. It's a mirror. In it, she sees her own immaturity, her own loss of control, and suddenly she respects you again. Practical steps to detach without drama. Now, let's get practical. How do you actually practice this? Pause before you react. The next time she disrespects you, don't answer immediately. Take a breath. Let silence hang. That silence speaks louder than words. Redirect your energy. Instead of pouring your energy into arguments, pour it into yourself. Go to the gym, read, work, build. Show her that her disrespect fuels your progress. Speak with actions. If the disrespect continues, detach further. Spend less time, less attention, less investment. She will feel the shift. Remember, you don't win arguments with words. You win with silence, presence, and action. The fear that keeps men from detaching. Now let's be real. Why do most men fail to detach? Fear. The fear of losing her. The fear that if they don't react, she'll leave. But here's the truth. If she leaves because you refuse to tolerate disrespect, she was never yours to begin with. Better to lose her than lose yourself. And paradoxically, when you stop fearing loss, you become the man she fears to lose. So, remember this. Detach without drama. Don't argue. Don't beg. Don't fight for respect. Live it. Embody it. Demand it with silence. Because when you detach, you rise above the game. You communicate without words. I am not moved by disrespect. I am not controlled by moods. I am a man of value, with or without you. And that is the first step to becoming unshakable. Now we move to the second way, a lesson most men never master. Setting boundaries through action, not words. This is where men either rise or collapse forever. Part 3. Way 2. Set boundaries through action, not words. The fatal mistake men make with boundaries. Most men think boundaries are about words. They sit their woman down and say, listen, you can't talk to me like that. You can't do this. You can't do that. But here's the problem. Words don't set boundaries. Actions do. A boundary without action is just a suggestion. And suggestions don't command respect. Why words don't work? Think about it. How many times have you told someone what you won't tolerate, only to tolerate it again the very next day? What did that teach them? It taught them that your words mean nothing. Women are especially tuned to this. They don't listen to your speeches. They watch your consistency. She may nod when you talk. She may even say she understands, but in her subconscious mind, she's only asking one question. Will he enforce it, or will he break? And the moment you break your own boundary, you lose her respect. The Stoic truth about boundaries. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Apply that to respect. Waste no more time arguing about what respect you deserve. Be the man who allows nothing less. This is the Stoic way. Boundaries are not declared. They are lived. 2 men, 2 boundaries. Let me paint you a picture. Man A says to his woman, if you ever disrespect me in public, I won't tolerate it. But the next week at dinner, she mocks him in front of friends. He laughs it off nervously. He doesn't want to make a scene. What just happened? His words became dust. She knows now his boundary is an empty threat. Man B says nothing. He doesn't warn. He doesn't lecture. But when his woman disrespects him in public, he doesn't laugh. He doesn't argue. He simply stands, pays the bill, and leaves without a word. That silence echoes louder than any speech. The next day, she realizes, I crossed a line, and he didn't argue, he acted. Which man do you think she respects? The world doesn't respect what you say. It respects what you enforce. Why boundaries must cost you something. Here's another truth. Boundaries only exist if you're willing to lose something to keep them. If your boundary is, I won't tolerate disrespect, then you must be willing to walk away when disrespect repeats. If you're not willing to walk, your boundary is fake. And trust me, women can smell fake boundaries instantly. They test to see if your words hold weight. And if they don't, the test never ends. Set a boundary once. Fail to enforce it, and you'll spend the rest of your life begging for respect. Psychologists will tell you, human behavior responds more to consequences than to words. A child doesn't stop touching fire because you say, don't touch it. He stops because the fire burns. It's the same in relationships. If there's no consequence to disrespect, it will continue. But here's the difference between weak men and stoic men. Weak men punish with anger, insults, or emotional outbursts. Stoic men enforce with calm action. No drama, no hate, no screaming. Just a quiet demonstration that says, this is the line. Cross it, and I remove my presence. Let me ask you, right now, how many boundaries have you broken for the woman you love? How many times did you say never again, only to forgive instantly, hoping things would change? And how did that make you feel? Strong or weak? The truth is, every time you bend your boundary, you bend your backbone. And a man without a backbone can never be respected. Practical boundaries you must enforce. Let's get real and tactical. Here are examples of boundaries that should be enforced through action, not speeches. Public disrespect. If she mocks you or belittles you in front of others, leave calmly. Don't fight in front of people. Show her that your dignity is non-negotiable. Threats of leaving. If she weaponizes, I'll leave you during every argument, let her. Do not chase. Do not beg. Show her that threats hold no power over you. Disrespect the time. If she constantly cancels plans, shows up late, or ignores commitments, stop making her your priority. Invest that time into yourself. Verbal attacks. If she crosses from disagreement into insults and a conversation, calmly walk away. Re-engage only when respect returns. A real man doesn't beg for respect. He enforces it through the life he lives. The fear of losing her versus losing yourself. Why don't most men enforce boundaries? Simple. Fear. They fear she'll leave. They fear being alone. They fear rejection. But here's the Stoic paradox. The moment you enforce boundaries, yes, you risk losing her. But if you don't enforce them, you will lose yourself. And once you lose yourself, you've already lost her anyway. Respect given without boundaries is never real. It's pity. Respect enforced through action, that's power. So remember this. Don't talk about boundaries. Live them. Don't argue about respect. Enforce it. Every time you choose action over words, you send a message louder than any speech. I am not a man to be tested. I am a man to be respected. And that is how you set boundaries the Stoic way. Now we move to the third way, one of the most powerful yet misunderstood truths. Stop explaining yourself. Because the moment you justify yourself, you've already surrendered your power. Part 4. Way 3. Stop explaining yourself. The trap of explanation. How many times have you found yourself doing this? You make a decision, and immediately you start explaining. You enforce a boundary, and then you justify it. You choose silence, but then you break it with a long speech, hoping she understands. And every time you explain, you feel it, a slow leak in your dignity. The more you explain yourself, the more you admit that you need her approval. And the moment you need her approval, you've already lost her respect. Why men explain too much? Men explain for one reason: fear. Fear she won't understand. Fear she'll think less of them. Fear she'll leave. So they pour words into silence. They justify every decision. They argue their worth like lawyers in a courtroom. But here's the reality. Explanations don't create respect. Explanations destroy it. Because when you explain too much, you're secretly saying, my decision isn't strong enough on its own. I need you to approve it. And women can sense that weakness instantly. Epictetus taught, if you wish to be good, first believe that you are, then act accordingly. What does this mean for men today? It means your actions should explain themselves. Your silence should carry more weight than paragraphs of justification. When a Stoic acts, he doesn't argue. He doesn't beg for agreement. He simply does. And the world either respects it or it doesn't, but he remains unmoved. Stop explaining yourself. Start living in a way that makes explanations unnecessary. Storytelling, the Silent King versus the Pleading Man. Imagine two men again. Man A decide to work late instead of attending a meaningless party with his girlfriend. She protests. He sits her down for an hour, explaining why his work matters, why it's good for the future, why she should understand. He hopes his words will win her respect. But to her, it sounds like one thing. He needs my approval. Man B makes the same decision. She protests. He listens calmly, smiles slightly, and says, this is important to me. Then he goes back to work. No essays, no speeches, no approval seeking. Which man do you think she respects more? The one who drowned her in words, or the one whose actions made words unnecessary? Powerful men don't plead. Powerful men don't justify. Powerful men act and let results do the talking. The psychology of silence. There's something magnetic about silence. Psychologists have proven that in conflict, the one who speaks less holds more power. Why? Because silence creates discomfort. And in that discomfort, the other person scrambles to fill the void, while the silent one controls a frame. When you stop explaining, you force her to sit with her own thoughts. You create mystery. You create authority. Next time you feel the urge to explain, pause, say less, and watch how the silence shifts the balance of power. Why explanation equals weakness? Let me cut deeper. Every explanation you give is an unconscious admission of guilt. Think about it. Do lions explain why they roar? Do kings explain why they rule? Do leaders explain why they lead? No, they simply are, because true authority is self-evident. A man who knows his worth doesn't explain it. A man who doubts his worth never stops talking about it. Ask yourself right now, how many times have you justified yourself to a woman who had already lost respect for you? How many nights have you begged her to understand your side of the story, only to feel emptier afterward? How many hours have you wasted explaining instead of living? And what did those explanations buy you? Respect? No, they bought you pity. Stop explaining. Start showing. Practical steps to stop explaining yourself. Now let's get tactical. Decide first, speak later. Make your choices with conviction. If you know it's right for you, you don't need to explain it. You only need to live it. Replace explanations with short statements. Instead of saying, I can't come because I really need to focus on work, and you know how important this project is. Say, I won't be there. I'm working. Period. Let silence carry the weight. When she presses you for justification, resist the urge. Smile. Stay calm. Change the subject. The silence speaks louder than 1,000 words. Every word you don't say builds mystery. Every silence you hold builds respect. The fear of being misunderstood. Here's the real reason men explain too much. They can't stand being misunderstood. But Stoicism teaches us this. You cannot control another person's perception. You can only control your own actions. If she misunderstands you and disrespects you, that's her test. If you over-explain and lose your dignity, that's your failure. Better to be misunderstood and respected than understood and disrespected. So remember this. Stop explaining yourself. Stop pouring words into silence. Stop seeking approval where none is needed. Your strength is not in your speeches. Your strength is in your silence. And the man who moves without explanation, who stands firm without approval, he becomes untouchable. And now we move to the fourth way. The most terrifying move for most men, yet the one that changes everything. Reclaim power by walking away. Because sometimes the strongest thing a man can do is leave. Way number 5, Build an unshakable identity. Let me ask you something that most men never stop to think about. Who are you when she leaves? Not who you are when you're in love. Not who you are when she validates you, kisses you, praises you. But who are you when the door slams shut? When the text is left on read? When she mocks you in front of her friends? When she looks at you as if you're invisible? That's the question that separates men who crumble from men who rise. Picture this. A man sits in a dark apartment. His phone glows in his hand. She hasn't replied in hours. His chest feels heavy. His mind is racing. What did I do wrong? Did I say something stupid? Is she with someone else? He types a message, deletes it, types again, deletes again. Finally, he sends, "Hey, are you okay? Did I do something?" And with that, he doesn't realize he's just handed over his identity. Because the moment your sense of worth is tied to her response, you no longer belong to yourself. Identity built on others is fragile. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." That's what happens when you let disrespect shake you. You're saying, her approval defines me. Her attention builds me. Her rejection destroys me. That's not an identity. That's a house built on sand. And the storm will always come. A disrespectful woman will test you, push you, question you. If your core is weak, you'll break. If your identity is external, she'll always own the keys. But when your foundation is built within, when you know exactly who you are without her validation, without her love, without her presence, then you become untouchable. Listen closely. You're not just a boyfriend. You're not just someone's option. You're not just a placeholder until the next man shows up. You are a man, a builder, a force of nature, a man with vision, with blood pumping through his veins, with fire in his soul. And yet, most men forget this. They let their entire life orbit around her. They hand over the crown, then cry when she treats them like a servant. Disrespect stings because deep down you abandon yourself. So what's the cure? Rebuild your identity. Brick by brick. The 3 pillars of an unshakable identity. Purpose over pleasure. Most men chase women like addicts chase dopamine. They wake up with no mission, no goal, no higher calling. So of course she becomes their purpose. But here's the truth. A man who lives for a woman will always be her slave. A man who lives for a purpose, he becomes magnetic. She doesn't respect the man who waits by the phone. She respects the man who is too busy conquering his mission to notice her silence. Discipline over emotion. Do you want to know the most terrifying kind of man? The one who doesn't flinch. The one who doesn't chase. The one who can look her in the eyes while she tries to provoke him and remain calm. That's what discipline does. It turns you into a rock in the middle of her storm. She screams, mocks, tests, but you don't bend. And slowly, she realizes this man cannot be moved. Self-respect over approval. Every man has to decide, do I want her validation or do I want my soul intact? Because here's the truth. If you beg for approval, you will always pay with your dignity. But if you choose self-respect, you'll walk away from anything that violates your worth. And in doing so, you'll command the very respect she thought she could withhold. Storytelling moment. The blacksmith. Imagine a blacksmith forging a sword. Every strike of the hammer sends sparks flying. The metal is shaped under fire, under pressure, under force. Now imagine yourself as that sword. Every moment of disrespect you endure, every insult, every test. It's the hammer, and you have 2 choices. Crack under pressure and become useless scrap, or let the fire mold you into unshakable steel. The Stoics believe character is forged in adversity. The harder life hits you, the stronger you can become if you refuse to break. So when she disrespects you, understand this is not the end of you. This is the beginning of the forge. You know what's more attractive than abs, money, or charm? Certainty. The man who knows who he is. The man who can stare into the chaos and say, I do not move. Women feel it. Men feel it. The world feels it. Certainty is rare. Most men are fragile shells, begging for scraps of approval. But you must be different. You must be the man who says, Respect me or lose me. My identity is not up for negotiation. A harsh reminder. If you don't build an unshakable identity, every relationship will collapse. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually disrespect will creep in, and without inner strength, you'll either tolerate it or explode. And both paths destroy you. That's why the work starts now. Not when she leaves. Not when she cheats. Not when she mocks. Now. So let me ask you again. Who are you when she leaves? Because a man with an unshakable identity doesn't beg. He doesn't panic. He doesn't lose sleep over someone else's chaos. He stands tall, calm, centered, because he was never defined by her in the first place. And the moment you reach that level is the moment you stop fearing disrespect altogether. Because you'll know, nothing can touch the man who belongs to himself. Way number 6, build an unshakable identity. What happens to a man when he has no identity? He bends. He breaks. He becomes a shadow of whoever he's with. One moment, he's strong. Next, he's begging. 1 minute, he's confident. The next, he's lost, asking her, "What do you want me to be?" And that, my friend, is the fastest way to lose both respect and yourself. Here's the truth no one tells men. Respect doesn't start with how a woman treats you. Respect begins with how you define yourself. If you're a man who doesn't know who he is, if you're a man with no vision, no mission, no internal compass, then every woman you meet will shape you into clay. She'll test you. She'll mold you. She'll push you. Not because she's evil, but because she's searching for proof that you are solid, that you can't be shaken. And if you're not, she loses attraction. She loses respect. She sees you as weak. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Meaning, your identity is not what you tell the world. Your identity is what you constantly feed your mind and soul. So if you feed weakness, you'll act weak. If you feed validation, you'll live for approval. But if you feed strength, purpose, and clarity, you become untouchable. Let me break it down brutally. A man who doesn't know himself is a slave. A man who knows himself, even if the world spits his face, is free. When you have an unshakable identity, disrespect doesn't penetrate you. A woman can roll her eyes, mock your dreams, even threaten to leave, but you stand tall because your worth is not negotiable. It's not up for debate. It's not a contract. It's a law written into your bones. And women feel it. They can sense it in your silence, in your posture, in the way you don't flinch when she tries to test you. Here's what most men get wrong. They think identity is about what you do for her. No, identity is about who you are without her. Pause and ask yourself right now, if she walked away today, who would you be tomorrow? Would you collapse? Would you beg? Would you turn into a hollow shell yourself? Or would you rise, knowing that your life, your mission, your values are bigger than one woman's validation? That's the test. That's the core of masculine identity. How to build unshakable identity. Now, let's get practical. How do you build this identity so strong that disrespect bounces off you like arrows hitting stone? 1. Define your code. Every man must have a personal code. Principles that cannot be violated. What do you stand for? What do you refuse to tolerate? What are your non-negotiables? If you don't decide this, she will. She'll test your limits until she finds there are none. And when she realizes you can be bent, she'll stop respecting you. Write your code. Live by it. Never apologize for it. 2. Detach from external labels. Stop tying your identity to being her boyfriend, her provider, her rescuer. Those are roles, not your essence. Your essence is deeper. Your character, your values, your mission. The man who clings to roles loses himself the moment the role is stripped away. Be the man who stands strong with or without a title. 3. Create a mission bigger than her. If your only mission is to please her, you are already lost. Women don't respect men who orbit around them. They respect men who are locked onto a path so powerful. She must choose to walk alongside him or be left behind. Your mission makes you magnetic. It makes you undeniable. It makes you immune to disrespect. Because you're not begging for her approval, you're busy chasing destiny. 4. Master solitude. Can you be alone without crumbling? That is the litmus test of identity. Most men rush into relationships because they fear solitude. But solitude is where men forge themselves. It's where you build discipline, clarity, and mental toughness. If you can't be alone, you'll accept disrespect just to avoid silence. But if you master solitude, you'll walk away from anything that lowers your worth. 5. Daily rituals of strength. Identity isn't just theory. It's practice. Your habits carve your soul. Do you wake up with discipline, or do you hit snooze? Do you invest in your body, your mind, your craft, or do you drown in distractions? Every action is a vote for your identity. And those daily votes decide whether you become a king or stay a pawn. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That's identity, self-mastery, not her validation, not society's applause, not your friend's approval. Your worth is not in her hands. It's in yours. Your identity is not negotiable. And once you accept that, disrespect becomes powerless. So when she tests you, when she mocks you, when she disrespects you, remember this. You are not here to bend. You are not here to explain. You are here to live by your code, your mission, your essence. Build an identity so unshakable, so carved into stone that the world itself could collapse and you would still stand. Because when a man knows who he is, he doesn't just demand respect. He commands it. Part 7. Replace weakness with purpose. A man without purpose is a man begging to be disrespected. Think about it. Why does disrespect cut so deep? Why does it haunt you when a woman rolls her eyes at you, ignores your messages, or belittles your effort? It's not just about her words. It's about your lack of anchor. When you don't know who you are or why you're here, the smallest winds of opinion knock you off balance. But when a man has a mission, when his day is structured by something greater than validation, disrespect loses its teeth. The hidden root of disrespect, weakness of direction. A woman tests you, sometimes consciously, sometimes subconsciously. She wants to know if you are a rock or a reed. The reed bends, breaks, complains. The rock, it stands unmoved. Weakness of direction makes you the reed. You bend to moods. You bend to guilt trips. You bend to emotional manipulation. And the more you bend, the less respect you get. A man who doesn't know his path becomes a man obsessed with hers. You orbit her. You seek permission. You start measuring your worth by how much affection she gives or withholds. And here's the brutal truth. A man without purpose becomes her toy. The Stoic commandment, purpose before pleasure. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but your estimate of it. Your pain doesn't come from her disrespect. It comes from your misplaced estimate that she is the center of your world." The Stoic man reverses this. He puts purpose before pleasure, mission before validation, path before partner. When you live like this, disrespect doesn't shatter you. It exposes her misalignment with your path, and that makes decisions easy. Pay attention to the story. The man who forgot his fire. Picture this. A man works hard at his job, provides, tries to keep his girlfriend happy. But deep down, he's lost his fire. No hobbies, no growth, no drive. One day, she starts mocking his boring routine. Another day, she rolls her eyes when he shares an idea. Eventually, she starts comparing him to men who actually go after their dreams. He crumbles. He fights. He begs. He tries harder to make her happy. But he missed the truth. She didn't stop respecting him because of money or effort. She stopped respecting him because he abandoned his fire of purpose. Here's the paradox. When you chase a woman, you lose her. When you chase your purpose, women chase you. Why? Because respect is born from direction. A man building something commands attention. A man who sacrifices dreams for approval loses himself. Purpose doesn't mean you need to be a millionaire. It doesn't mean you need fame. Purpose means you have a reason bigger than validation to wake up, train, work, and push forward. She sees it. She feels it. And whether she admits it or not, she respects it. Stoic weapon, indifference to noise. When you have purpose, you become indifferent to the noise of disrespect. Not in a passive way, but in a powerful way. She mocks you, you're busy building. She tests you, you're already walking your path. She doubts you? You smile because you know where you're going. And indifference, my friend, is magnetic because nothing shakes a man who's chasing destiny. How to replace weakness with purpose, practical framework. Choose your North Star. What matters most to you? Growth? Building something? Mastering a craft? Choose it. Live by it. Cut out energy leaks. Every hour spent chasing disrespectful validation is an hour stolen from purpose. Structure your days. A man with routine is a man with respect. Chaos invites weakness. Reframe disrespect. Instead of "she doesn't respect me," say, "she revealed misalignment." Then ask, "am I on purpose?" Let purpose speak louder than words. Stop arguing. Let your results, your growth, your mission silence the noise. Imagine her watching you 6 months from now. You didn't beg. You didn't chase. You didn't crumble. You built. You trained. You grew. You replaced weakness with purpose. And whether she's still in your life or watching from a distance, she'll feel the shift. She'll see the man who cannot be disrespected, because his respect comes from within. That's the essence of Stoicism. Unshakable purpose creates unshakable respect. Part 8. Brothers, listen carefully. You walk through the battlefield of respect. Learn how to detach, how to set boundaries, how to stop explaining, how to walk away, how to build identity, and how to replace weakness with purpose. But knowledge without execution is useless. And this is where most men fail. They watch videos, nod their heads, feel inspired, and then go back to tolerating the same disrespect. But you will be different. Because today, you're not just consuming content. You are drawing a line in the sand. You are declaring, "From this moment forward, I will never again allow myself to be disrespected." That is the oath. An oath without action is nothing but noise. So let's take these Stoic truths and let's weld them into your daily life. The modern Stoic framework for respect. Respect isn't built in moments of conflict. It's built in the ordinary, daily ways you live. Here's how to apply these 6 ways like a man of iron. 1. Morning mindset reset. Every morning, ask yourself, what is within my control today? What is not? That single Stoic question will cut through drama. If she ignores you, out of your control. Your response, in your control. If she mocks you, out of your control. Your standards, in your control. This primes your brain to detach automatically instead of begging emotionally. 2. Silent standards. Don't announce your rules. Live them. If you decided you won't tolerate disrespectful tone, then when it happens, you calmly disengage. No debate. No, why would you say that? You just stand, you walk, you move. Women don't respect rules you shout. They respect the laws you embody. 3. Social reinforcement. Look at your circle. Do the men around you tolerate disrespect, or do they live as kings? If your closest friends are weak, apologetic, and desperate, guess what? You will be too. A lion doesn't hunt with sheep. Surround yourself with warriors. Read the Stoics. Study Marcus Aurelius. Listen to men who speak with power, not men who complain about women all day. 4. The disrespect test. Next time disrespect comes, don't panic. Observe. Her attitude is a mirror, not a dagger. It reflects your level of self-respect. If you've been sloppy with your discipline, she will smell it. If you've been sharp, detached, and unmovable, she will feel it. This isn't punishment. It's feedback. And feedback is gold, the hard reality most men avoid. Let me be brutally honest. If you tolerate disrespect once, you invite it forever. Women test. Always have, always will. Not because they're evil, but because nature wired them to seek strength. A weak man is unsafe. He can't protect. He can't provide leadership. He can't stand in the storm. So every disrespect is a test not of her loyalty, but of your backbone. Fail the test, and you become her doormat. Pass the test, and you become her anchor. Practical daily applications. At work, if a female colleague mocks you publicly, don't argue. Stay calm. Address it once firmly, then move on. Power is in brevity. At home, if your woman snaps with disrespect, Don't raise your voice. Lower it. Say, I don't allow that. Then walk away. Silence stings louder than shouting. In dating, if she ghosts, ignores, or plays games, don't chase. Delete her number. Block her access to your energy. Chasing is a tax weak men pay. Kings don't beg. Why this makes you magnetic? Here's the paradox. The less you tolerate disrespect, the more respect you receive. Women are drawn not to your words, but to your emotional gravity. When she sees you don't need her validation, when she feels that you won't break under a storm, something awakens in her biology. Fear, attraction, respect. She may not even understand why, but she feels it. And that feeling is what separates boys from men and men from kings. The Stoic call to arms. So now I ask you, what kind of man will you be after this video ends? The man who listens, nods, and forgets? Or the man who executes, who applies, who transforms disrespect into dominance? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." You don't need to tell her you're changing. She will see it in your silence. She will feel it in your absence. She will bow to it in your standards. If you want to live as a king, remember this. Respect is never asked for. It is commanded through presence. Detach when disrespected. Set boundaries without debate. Stop explaining yourself. Walk away when necessary. Forge an identity she cannot shake. And replace every ounce of weakness with purpose. This is the code. This is the way. This is a Stoic path to respect. So the next time disrespect comes knocking, don't complain. Don't panic. Don't beg. Smile and let her see the unshakable man she can't control. Because once you master this, you will never lose yourself again. Join our Stoic community today. This is where men transform. This is where respect is earned. This is where you stop chasing and start being chased. Don't just watch. Become Stoic. Be Stoic.